Welcome to this new exciting episode with Dr. Praveen Tiwari. You have seen him, you have heard him, and you have loved his shows. Today we are going to play a debunking session, and which all of you love it. It's a point by point. He's a journalist, he's a TV anchor, and he has been in this. He's a better host than me, many ways. So, so please welcome him. And today's topic will be debunking the similarities and dissimilarities between Abrahamic and Vedic cultures. And I'm going to point out some things that people try to find faults with you, but actually they are also doing the same thing. But we have a better meaning. So without delay, welcome Dr. Praveen Tiwari. So
Thank you very
namaskar.
much, Nitya. You're doing a great job making people aware of the truth and Satyology. Sat is the mission. Only mission by God is to seek the truth, and we all are here to just seek the truth. And you are helping these students all over the America, all over the world to understand the truth. And truth is, it is destructed by many people who doesn't want to move themselves to find it. They don't want to take any burden of, or they are afraid of hard work of attaining the truth. So the easy way is to distort it or just create your own. I mean, you are not becoming a prime minister or something like that. Then you create your own empire. You become a king. You can put two or three people. They are your mantris and secretaries and all. But untruth is untruth. That is not the reality. That is far away from the reality. So that is with all the borrowed things which is borrowed from Sanatan Dharma, which is borrowed from Ramayana. I will quote few of the important points. What is uh, good science, bad science, the ethical teachings of Ramayana. There are so many things which is borrowed by all over the world. People have borrowed everything from these great scriptures.
No, absolutely. So just today morning, I gave a talk on how the Vedic scriptures are being ridiculed when everything in the world has come from them. And the biggest plagiarization is the Western uh, ideologues or people who generate new ideas. They copy the Eastern philosophy and present it in the Western philosophy. So in that regards, I see a lot of times people accuse Sanatan Dharma practitioners, which are many in USA, many. It's America is becoming a Hindu nation, and the practices are going everywhere. So I'll give you some examples. That yoga is practiced by 45 million Americans, and we have close to 1,000 Hindu temples, and in every city you'll find, and plus there are smaller communities who practice Hinduism in a big way. But there is a always a some kind of criticism of Hindus, and I know it is coming from ignorance, but I'm going to point that out in this discussion today. So people accuse us, without taking their names, I'll say people accuse us we do idol worship. So I would like to hear from you. When they accuse us of idol worship, what are they doing? So they are also doing the similar thing. So my question will be this accusation, whether it is valid or not, with your deep realization.
First of all, I am not worried about any accusation, and nobody is here to give me certificates. For me, certificate is not required. Then what about Sanatan Dharma? How could anybody certify the oldest science or the ancient dharma on the earth? How can somebody certify it? Once you are going for a laboratory test, you are trying to research on it, you are placing your research papers, so then I can discuss it. then you have all the authority to discard it or to accept it. Or if somebody is forcing, this is the only dharma. Nobody is forcing you. Everybody is accepting it. Why? Because it has the acceptability value. Because this is the thing which is required deep within everybody. A dharma which teaches you how to become God, or how to reach the who is the God. You have talked about Christianity. Generally, I don't comment on any of the religion. I respect each and every. But now, I try to understand the origin of Christianity. It is by Isa Masih, or Jesus, whatever you say. So, what Jesus said, I am the son of the God. So somebody asked, Sharnananda was a great saint in India. Somebody asked from, from America, uh, some curious people reached him and asked him that he's the son of God. So how you can connect these two things? So he smiled and he said very beautifully, this is Sanatan Dharma. He said, Isa is my nephew. How it could be possible? He's my nephew because Jesus is my nephew because I am the brother of God. My God teaches me to become like him, to sit with him. This is the, real science of Sanatan Dharma, which is making you the God. Or, you know, uh, Krishna, Ram, every figure you can find. I mean, there are people like Tulsidas who is worshipped. He has temple. I mean, people are worshipping him for his great work. Valmiki, Bhagwan Valmiki, not only Valmiki. He was not just a mere writer author. He is regarded as a god in India. Complete communities considered him as a god, and he has that respect. And he is a god, one who has identified the God, one who attained that higher you know higher consciousness, which is called Sthit Pragya or Paramatma Chetna or whatever you say. There are so many words, the Kevalya Pad, whatever it is. If you have attained it, it means you have become the God. So this is the only dharma which is making you the God. Now, Jesus is saying, I am the son of the God, and the Sanatan Dharma is saying, you are the God. Okay. So, from where Jesus bought this thing? Now, this will, there will be a conflict of historical facts. If I'll say that people say that sometime he visited to India, and every saint all over the world has certain connection with India. Why? What is the reason? You just go and research on that. I'm not saying just accept my facts. Go and research. Each and every saint all over the world, every saint has certain connection with India, whether he is born in America, England, or anywhere in the world, or in Russia, or in China, or wherever they are. They have certain connection. Why? The values which are injected in Indian kids are very precious. But this is also another truth that poverty is here. We have our own challenges. We are struggling to manage, food for our labors. We have so many challenges. Population is a challenge. Infrastructure is a challenge. Invaders are a challenge. People are exploiting us is a challenge. There are so many things. So why your dharma is not helping you to revive it? Because we are not understanding the dharma. A single person like Shankaracharya or Vivekananda would understand it, and they will conquer the world. This is the power of these beautiful scriptures. You have to understand. But people are trying to suppress Indian scriptures and people, and they are exploiting their struggles for their own sake. As I gave you a small example, if you cannot become a king, you just create your own empire, a small empire, and then play with it all over the world. As far as religion is concerned, as far as philosophy is concerned, as far as higher attainment of consciousness is concerned, everybody is just copying the Sanatan Dharma, and they are not creating or generating a single thing. Your student are listening. I am giving you a classwork, homework, whatever you say, just write it down. Who has done anything for higher consciousness in the world except the people who followed Sanatan Dharma? Because it's very common for them. This is a very regular practice. If somebody will ask you to leave your home and go to Himalayas, it is a difficult thing for you to resides in a jungle, to resides in a small place. You can't do it, but it's very easy for anybody who has born whatever kind of family it is in. Like Buddha was a king, but he left it because there are some principles which are injected in each and every person in India, or whoever is following Sanatan Dharma. I'm not saying, because now India is a very mixed culture. There are invaders, there are people from outside, there are people who are not respecting Indian cultures living here. But Indians are accepting those people are also. This is the beauty of this dharma, and that's why not crores of people, only 25, 50 people will raise up, and they will conquer the world. And mark my words, I'm telling you. And this time is coming very soon. Now, Dr. Harshvardhan is heading the WHO. He has become the chairman of the executive board of WHO. Now, this is the turn of India. It's a common process. But you have to understand the timing. There are few things which is not in our hand. These are guided by somebody else. So this somebody else, who is the only guiding force, you'll understand only when you go for the scriptures and not for the copied things which are practiced by church, which are practiced by other religions. They all have borrowed everything from the Patanjali Yoga Sutra or the small things. Go for the real things now. Why you are going for copied things or the duplicate things?
Absolutely. No, you said it very well. And one more thing I just want to add. When they accuse Hindus of idolatry, they themselves are practicing it. There is a cross, which is the biggest symbol of idolatry, and with literally a very barbaric meaning attached to that cross. They may euphemistically call it sacrifice, but taking the blood of somebody is a murder, not a sacrifice. And so another misconception is when they come to our ISKCON temples in North America or any other Hindu temple, they see the arti happening of the statues, and we call them archa vigraha, not statues. Means that we did a ceremony of putting life in them, so that we can worship them. So they are not just they are not just statues. They are archa vigraha. Now my next question to you is one of
Can
the
I,
things.
can I
Yes,
put a small point here,
yes,
because you are talking about an important issue of statues. I would like to comment on that.
yes, please.
May I? So, Aditya, there is an very important story of Swami Vivekananda. He was leaving for America. He doesn't have a penny in his pocket. How to leave for America? So he was trying to meet people borrowing money for this visit. He struggled very hard. You cannot match his struggle. You just see his glory. You don't see his struggle. So when he went to Khetri Maharaj, he asked him for money. So he said that I can arrange, one way fare for you. You can go by ship, but I cannot. I mean, you have to arrange, your back journey arrangements. And how he arranged it is a story itself. Now, the important point. Khetri Maharaj asked him, why you worship statues? He, Arya Samaj and reformation, so-called reformation was going on. So I mean, destroying Sanatan Dharma is reformation for rest of the world. This is the saddest thing. You destroy Sanatan Dharma and you are reforming, and it is never distorted. So he asked him that why you worship. His picture, like this frame is hanging there. His big picture was there. The king's picture was there, and Swami Vivekananda smiled and asked his minister that just put it. Can you put it down? So he looked at king. King smiled and said, "Yes, do whatever he's saying." He just pulled it out, he put it down, and then Swami Vivekananda, this is a real story. Then Swami Vivekananda asked him, just spit on it. Just spit on it. So he was said, how can I do that? No, I mean, he was afraid of some. But King, understood everything with this small example. Now Vivekananda explained him that you are, I think he's a living person standing before you and you are worshipping his picture. Even he is there. You can worship the real man, but still you are respecting his picture. So what about the God? Nobody has seen him. Everybody wants to see him. Everybody knows his power. Everybody knows that he is with us. Every Sanatan Dharmi has experienced him. How could you say that you are not going to respect his statue? So this is the higher. I mean, this is the concept of statue. A small example. There are so many. Prana Pratishtha is there. You put life in those statues. It's not mere statues. Whether it's a stone or you have painted these stones or whatever it is, but you have put life in it. Prana Pratishtha is the word in India. So this small example shows that how practical Sanatan Dharma and its statue worship is. But the people who copied it don't even understand this fact. They don't know why they are worshipping it, but they are doing. So this is the small example which shows that they are copying things. They don't know why they are doing it. So this is the important point you raised, that how they are, symbols are copied, statue worship is copied, hymns are copied, and the scriptures are copied. So many things written there is already extensively here. They have copied a small portion and they made their own scripture. Okay, that's okay, but it won't, lead you anywhere. You have to go for the real things instead of these duplicate and copied things.
No, absolutely, absolutely correct. So I got a list of scientists, Indian scientists, who were copied by the Western scientists. And all that information, see the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics and the quantum physics connected to spirituality and the higher realms of consciousness was best explained by Ramanujacharya. And after that, and that appeared almost 2000 years back. And after that, everyone else has copied that theory. So including numbers also. And the calculation of numbers is coming from Ramayana Treta Yuga, from Ramayana. And when Dashrath Maharaj tells how big the army of Bhagwan Ram, how much big the army that will be given to Bhagwan Ram. So in Ramayana that you picked up just now, so there is a description of Ayodhya, which is 96 miles long and 24 miles wide. It was a huge city. So if somebody wants to know what the perspective is from the US-Mexico border to Irvine. That's the length, which is 96 miles. And the width will be from the seashore going 24 miles to the east. So that's a perspective you can see, such a large area. Now, how can people calculate such big numbers without 0 and 1 being there? So that directly debunks the theory that numbers were invented at a later date. So their history may not show all this calculation, but they have the audacity, the church and the mosque, both of them, have the audacity to call Sanatan Dharma as dogmatic and them being a scientific religion. So I would like to hear from you on this perspective. What do you have to add to this, please?
This is, I wanted to say something about it. You raised a very beautiful point, and I really appreciate this. But why to, why to make anything a touchstone for Indian scriptures, or to, just to prove on the um, mathematical formulas or the current scenario? I'm telling you that these are far ahead from what you are doing right now. How? I mean, astrology. Astrology and astronomy is the most modern science which you are practicing. Astronomy is the most modern science, and you are still trying to find out the things. But metaphysics and astronomy, not astrology, astronomy were the two subjects which were studied long back. Aryabhatta and other people have done great work. And these Western scientists have these works with them. They have studied it thoroughly. And okay, forget it, everything. People will say, oh, you always quote old things and that and that. I'm saying you go to any Sanskrit Vidyapeeth and you ask to any student who is studying astrology here to make a panchang, he will exactly calculate when would be the Chandragrahan, Suryagrahan, everything. He will calculate it. Valmiki Ramayan, Valmiki Ramayan. Now this is another homework, students and everybody who is asking questions on Sanatan Dharma. Sorry, go through this beautiful book, whatever you say. This is a temple for me or whatever is for me. I'm not saying just you just read it like a book only, and you'll find astronomical calculation within that this particular thing at this place happened when stars were like this and position of moon and sun was like this. This is written here. This is written, and people have did some good research work on this also, which is available on internet. You can go and modern software of astrology will also provide you some help to verify your facts, to check your facts that you are going on the right track. Everything written here is proven by astronomical facts. So if somebody of that knowledge, somebody of that understanding was there long back, which you don't even understand. You say there was a Andyu between Ramayana and Mahabharata. There, what was there? You ask some historian. Historian has it's their job to make us understand. It's not their job to deny facts. They are denying. They are saying, "Oh, it was a Andyu, black day. We don't know what happened." So what kind of historian you are? You should search for it. Now, okay, if you are not doing your job, let us, make you understand something, because you are not going through these beautiful scriptures. You are not going through the real science, the ancient science. If you want to understand it yourself, just students go and study these scriptures. It will make you understand the glory of this ancient science, this ancient, this is, I call it a history book. Why I'm calling it? Don't go for the, facts like which you are not understanding. You are not understanding metaphysics, that your capacity is beyond your limitation. You could do wonders. Because you don't know. That's why it's a miracle. Once you'll start, it was a miracle when somebody see people, hundreds of people are flying with a flying machine. 100 years, 150 years back, it was a miracle. How could you even imagine this? Now it's a very common thing for us. We are going through aeroplanes. We have no issue in accepting that fact. But it could have been a miracle for people long back. So now there are so many things. This, everything is destroyed. Many of the time you have to understand America is very new, very new. It's very new. Britain is very new. There was, there was a time people are not here. Nothing has remained. Everything is vanished. But this is the culture which is still here because it has a solid ground. You have to understand why everything has been vanished, and Indian scriptures and culture is still there. Shruti is, and Smriti, have you ever heard this thing anywhere? Listen and remind it, listen and remember it, listen and remember it. Have you ever heard of this um, scientific method of learning and keeping the facts with you? No, because the ancient people in India knew this fact that everything will be finished. This book will be destroyed. These temples would be, destroyed. Everything would be destroyed, but your mind can't be destroyed. These thoughts can't be destroyed. Your memory will always remain even after your death, and you are not able to understand this thing. This is a very difficult subject to make you understand right now. We come on this fact that what happens after death, or the rebirth, or another things. The subject would be changed. But I'm telling you, science was far greater. The metaphysics. I'm saying metaphysics. Okay, don't. I'm not saying laboratories. Actually, laboratories were there. Actually, ammunition was made, and it's not like Dhanush Ban and the arrow and bows were used only. The huge ammunition was there, and atomic war was there. I completely agree on all these things, but nothing has remained, and nobody is worried. Nobody is bothered about finding the real things. Now, while you are excavating Ram Janmabhoomi, you are getting some old things. I put a small video because I have recently visited Koshambi during the election coverage, and I saw 3,000 years back society, and everything is still under cover. They, it is not excavated right even today. So everything is hidden there. Now, farmers are not allowed to do farming there because whenever they are digging it, they're finding something 3,000 or 4,000 old things there. And it's a recent thing. It is by Ashoka. I'm not talking about the Ramayana Kal. Ramayana was far before that. So you have to understand the ancient science. It was far greater than today. You are into a new a new society. It's a society which is learning these things. I'm saying, okay, India is not doing any research. Agree on this fact. They have their own challenges, but you have these scriptures. It is free for all. If somebody copied fact and they made their own grunts and scriptures, why don't you go and do the real research on these scriptures? Do it. You'll find it yourself. You don't have to ask Dr. Praveen Tiwari or Aditya Satsangi or anybody else on the earth. Everything is available for you, and that is the beauty of Sanatan.
No, you made some very good points, and in line with what you're saying. See, the thing is, the Western society, they have put an axe on their own feet. First of all, they rejected that there is no another birth. So now there is no hope for them. So the most of the people are committing suicides because they don't see another life, because they think that they'll go through the same problem again. The second problem, so that's a hopelessness. There's one big problem because of they're putting axe on their own feet, and that's a problem. Second thing is, it's a logical inference, I say, because I have been told by my father and my great teachers, this is how the world is. They've already discovered it. They've made scientific observations like Valmiki and Ved Vyas. They already made scientific observation. I don't have the need to research it again. So I can read their books and say, okay, this is a fact. So, but the Western scientists, what they've done is they've rejected all those people. So they have to create now. And they are always creating in a wrong way. Like, for example, they said that something did not exist. Now they have to prove it. So the accusations itself against Sanatana Dharma fall flat on the basis of logic and reasoning. So if I'm already, so nowadays if you look at the children, they're not going to make a discovery about the apple falling from a tree, because they already know that the earth has a gravitational pull. And in Sanskrit we knew that even before Sankarshan. Akarshan and Sankarshan. So, see, the basic attacks on Sanatan Dharma fall flat in front of logic and reasoning. Please add something here because you know more, much, very a lot.
Important point. I'm certainly going to add a very beautiful things, and you helped me a lot in that because I was about to come here. I was with Valmiki Ramayana for certain reasons, but we were discussing something else. And you have guided beautifully me to this point, which I wanted to mention with this great scripture. Now, as you mentioned two things: suicidal tendency and Sanskrit. Now, let me make you. This is the thing which nobody knows. I'm telling you because nobody has studied Ramayana. That's it. Hanumanji got a suicidal tendency. I'm not saying, and this is not a Puran Katha. This is written in Valmiki Ramayana. Hanumanji got suicidal tendency. What happened? What he did? He was cursing himself. Why? Now, if you read it, किमग्नौ निप्ताम्भ्य औस्वित् वडमामुखे शरीरमय सत्त्वानां दत्ति सागरवासिनां. क्या मैं अब जलती आग में कूद पड़ूं या should I destroy myself? He burned the Lanka. He burned the Lanka and he thought, should I now, jump into it? Why should I live now? Why? What wrong he has done? Because he hadn't thought of Sita Mata. She was also in the Lanka, the same Lanka he burned. He thought, I have destroyed Sita also. Now there is no meaning of living. All my purpose was to, see her and her well-being to be, communicated to Prabhu Shri Ram. So now you have to understand the philosophical aspect. I am not saying what happened, what was not there, and how you can say that, and how a Vanar can burn the Lanka and everything. You will start asking the question. You just go for the philosophical aspect. What Valmiki has written, that even now on anger, he has put this Panchashah Sarg, 55th Sarg of Sundarkand in Valmiki Ramayana. He mentioned everything about anger. Hanumanji is cursing his anger, not himself. He's saying anger has finished everything. I did a wrong thing just because of my anger. Then suddenly he realized somebody told him, no, Sita is okay, there is no issue. He went himself to see her and he found her well, and then he relaxed. Something like that. This story goes like this. So that's another thing. But Valmiki is talking about anger. Anger is the only problem, and anger will create a base for your suicidal tendency. You have anger. You're not showing it. You could be very calm. You must have seen people with suicidal tendency that they are not speaking to anybody. They are, mum, dumb kind of people. No, they have anger. There is no problem in showing your anger. No issue with your anger. But anger is growing within day by day. And you are not. And why this anger is there? You are not aware of the truth. You have a thirst of knowing the truth. You are not seeing any way. My dear, that's why to help you out, Sanatan Dharma is here. And that's why this is the beautiful country with all the problems, even with all the challenges. People are living happily. They are fighting corona. They are fighting poverty. They are fighting every challenge which you can't even see for a single second. They are living with it. Why? Because they have solid ground. Because they have these scriptures. So what wonder you could do with these things? I mean, I'm seeing a great opportunity in you. People, students, youngsters out there in America could do wonder with these beautiful scriptures. Study it, but study it in a real sense, not what is copied. Don't go for explanation by some scientific explanation. People are trying to find logic. Go deep into it. Find the philosophical aspect. Be there where Valmiki was. When once you write, once you read Robin Sharma or any writer there, on spiritual things. So you get connected with it. You find yourself a character of the book. Why don't you do the same thing with scripture? Why you always try to find the logic? You just be. That's why read it one time, and India has a tradition of reading it all the life, because there will be a time when you'll understand it, and once you'll understand, you won't require any of this scripture in the world. Everything is copied from here. So, my dear, if you are going to read it in their real sense and how exactly these are, you will definitely do the wonders, and the suicidal tendencies and everything is nothing for you. You can get rid of these things like this.
Now, what a good point you brought, Dr. Praveen Tiwari ji. Now, another one accusation is, so we are having a total debunking session today, and I thought that there's no good person to work with me on this than other Dr. Tiwari. So the another point which people attack Sanatan Dharma, and a lot of our youngsters face that in the colleges, on vegetarianism. So is it a religion or a choice? So my answer and proposition has always been that Sanatan Dharma is a science. The word dharma and science can be interchangeably exchanged, but not the religion, because religion is something imposed on you, but dharma is independent. So the science of being a vegetarian is revolves around being kind, being clean, and being logical. And so it naturally, so it's a Hindus or anyone who follows vegetarianism, whether there are a lot of non-Hindus also follow vegetarianism. It cannot be connected to spirituality, because I generally say that even monkeys are vegetarians. But we so it doesn't mean that the monkeys are the biggest sages on the planet. It's a intelligent choice, and it's a healthy thing for the body. American Medical Association says meat is bad for the body. They say it. It's not Hindus saying it. It is not Christians saying it. They say, American Medical Association says meat is not good for the body. So connecting vegetarianism uh, to religion is not good, but vegetarianism definitely helps in building a kind personality which can live in harmony with the nature. So I'd like to hear your analysis and commentary on this, Dr. Tiwari ji.
So definitely will. I mean, this is a very important point, and extensive, discussion should be there. But as Aditya asked me this question, I would definitely like to mention few important points here about the same. So Ashtang Yoga is here. Yam, Niyam, Ahar, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. We have these important points in Ashtang Yoga, and Yam and Niyam have five more points there. Sub points are there. So we'll extensively discuss it some other time. But as far as ahar is concerned, so ahar is what you are eating, your food habits. So as far as connecting it with the religion, why not? Being vegetarian is a religion itself. What is religion? Religion is just following few things.
That's right.
Everybody who is vegetarian could be of same religion. Vegetarian religion. You name it. You could create a nomenclature for it.
Very
I'm
good
not.
point.
But
Yes.
now, once you start incorporating another things like Ashtanga, like Puja Paddhati, Karma Kand, like reading Ramayana, like worshipping Krishna, Ram, like understanding the Bhakti Marg of Prabhupada, like understanding the Bhakti of Meera, like understanding the Bhakti of Tulsidas and Suda. Once you start realizing, you will automatically become a Hindu. So Hindu is nobody is going to put a sword in your throat and saying you just become Hindu, or I am putting this garland in your head and your neck and you will become a Hindu. No, no, my dear, you're not going to become Hindu. to become Hindu, you have to really work hard yourself. And nobody is, because quite possible they might not be Hindu themselves. They must be saying that they are Sanatan Dharmi, but they must not be, they aren't able to follow it in a real sense. But once you start, don't call yourself Hindu or whatever, but once you start following vegetarianism, pranayam, yoga, and dhyan, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, what you are thinking, 24 hours, what 24 hours, what's going on in your mind is the most important point. It creates your, here is your religion. And this is guided by your food also. A healthy mind resides in a healthy body. For healthy body, you need a healthy food. And vegetarian food is the most healthiest food on the earth. Everybody knows. Tongue is your biggest enemy. In Indri, senses, your five senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch. These five senses are, the biggest enemies if you use it in a wrong way. And these are, biggest apparatus, biggest, uh, biggest thing for you to explore everything in the world or to get everything in the world if you use it in a right way or in a right direction. So what is the right direction and what? Don't abuse it. Use it. Seeing much things which is not required there is abusing your eyes. For 24 hours you are looking at your mobile phone. I am discussing with Aditya. I have to use it. I have to use my mobile throughout the day. That's a compulsion for me. I try to, somehow, and I somehow I'm abusing my eyes. So I have to, pay for it. So is with your tongue. Meat is there, just there. After here, everything is same. So after here, take the good things, which is vegetarian. For this small thing, you are eating poison. You are eating poison. It will create depression. And anger is the root of cause of everything. So it will create, tamasic bhojan. Tamas. Tamas is darkness. It will create darkness in your mind. Long back, the Indian scientists or rishis quoted this thing in all these scriptures. That's why vegetarianism is the most important part to become a Sanatan Dharmi. And that's why now most of the Hindus, so-called Hindus, are not following it. If they are eating meat and they are, taking non-vegetarian foods, they are not Hindus. They can't be. It's not. I'm not. I'm nobody to give them certificate or snatch their certificates. And I'm not saying that. But in the real sense, what Hindu Dharma is offering you, the highest consciousness to become God, you are not going to get. You'll come again, again, again. Do bhoga. Keep doing it all over your life, and then come again and then do it for thousands of years. No problem, my dear. Do it. But there would be, one birth when you'll understand this small thing and you'll find everything. Why you are here, how you are different from a dog or a pig. Because pig is also enjoying his food, whatever quality of the food is there. They are also having sex, kids, everything is there. It's very much similar to you human beings. There is something which is different from these, animals and you. Find out that difference. Find out the difference. What is the difference between you and these animals and that higher consciousness? Once you'll identify yourself, you'll try to use yourself instead of abusing yourself. So taking non-veg is abusing yourself, in my view.
No, very good points. And just for the purpose of students, like there are a lot of Muslim clubs and there are Christian clubs in the university colleges, and many of them are guided by a hatred towards the ancient Hindu Brahminical culture, which comes from the invasion of India, and then purposely branding Hindus as bad and Brahmins as the worst. But actually, Brahmins were the cleanest people, and they were practicing spirituality. So this hatred by calling vegetarian as Hindu is unwarranted. because American Medical Association also doesn't support non-vegetarian diet. And this is from the highest, best scientists in the world. And they claim to say that vegetarian diet is healthy for the human being as well as for the environment. So connecting vegetarian diet to any type of spiritualism is a scientific process. So as a Sanatan Dharma follower, as a Hindu follower, when you are a vegetarian, that means you are naturally good to the environment. And studies have shown that we have studies have shown that we have a lesser impact of COVID-19 on vegetarianism. I'll stop here. And Dr. Praveen Tiwari, it was a fabulous thing to hear you. And we will continue this in our next
Speaking
discussions.
to you and your student, and thank you very much, the team behind the screen, because I have seen Aditya only. So everybody who is working with Satyology team, I really appreciate your efforts. I hope you will also go through these things, not just the mechanical things, just switching the boards and everything. You must be listening it very carefully, and it will definitely going to help you also. And we'll keep discussing on such important issues in future. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Indeed, you understand how many people go behind the scenes. You are a media personality. So thank you so much. And namaskar.